Hello and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I want to talk about 6 key questions you should ask yourself before buying designer ready-to-wear. Now, I have been buying designer ready-to-wear for about 15 years now, and I just love it. I know that for the price of one dress or a sweater, you could actually sometimes get a handbag or a piece of fine jewelry. But out of all of the different designer items, I'm just most attracted to shopping for ready to wear. So, over the last 15 years, I have accumulated enough experience to derive these 6 questions you should ask yourself before buying designer ready to wear. Obviously, you can ask these questions even when you're buying any piece of clothing, and it doesn't matter the price, it doesn't matter the brand. However, I think these questions are particularly important if you're shopping for designer wear, ready to wear, because those items, really come with a very high price tag. By the way, I still really like to get my ready to wear on sale. So up here, I'm going to link another video where I talk about some of the key luxury items that you can actually get on sale. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into the 6 questions. So question number 1 to ask yourself, what is the fabric composition of this item? So as a rule of thumb, natural fabrics are better than man-made fabrics. And natural fabrics can be either derived from plants, so for example, this is cotton and linen, or they can be derived from animals. So this is wool, silk, cashmere, and so on. But even when you look at man-made fabrics or fibers, they are not really created equal. So, for example, viscose is actually derived from wood, from cellulose. So, in my mind, viscose is still an acceptable material depending on the cut and the type of the item. The same actually goes to rayon as well. It is derived from wood pulp. However, what I would actually stay away from completely are fully synthetic materials. So here we're talking about polyester and acrylic. An interesting point is that acrylic is actually known as a man-made wool, and it is very easy to dye it into different bright colors. And this is actually one of the reasons why we think that kind of brightly colored fabrics are cheaper, because they're basically reminding us of something as man-made as rayon, something that is not natural wool, and therefore can be colored in very bright colors. That's why that we think that some kind of pink sweaters or bright green sweaters are just a little less expensive than, for example, sweaters that are actually made out of wool and cashmere and have a more natural coloring, maybe beige, maybe camel, maybe black, or some kind of white color. But in addition to just simple composition of the fabric, I would also encourage you to look at other elements, because there is a difference between, let's say, cotton and cotton. And let me illustrate to you. So here I have a cotton t-shirt from Maison Margiela, who is one of my favorite designers. And you could see just how thick this white cotton t-shirt is. It is pretty much not see-through at all, and you can see how tightly the fibers in the fabric are actually knitted together. But by comparison, let me actually put up a picture right here on the screen of a t-shirt that I found online from Zara. And this is just an example. I do not have anything against Zara, but I wanted to pull an example from the internet and show you a picture. You could see that this white t-shirt on the picture is actually almost see-through. It is very thin. Just think what's going to happen to this t-shirt after you wear it once, or you put it into a washing machine and you actually wash it. So in addition to the composition of the fabric, I would actually encourage you to look at the weight of the fabric and also at the thread count in the fabric. And obviously, you don't need to be very technical, but it's just the notion that there should not be any gaps between the fibers as they are being woven together in the fabric. And if you see any gaps in the yarn, it usually, not always, but usually indicates a lower quality of the fabric. Another example I'm going to put on the screen is this Loewe sweater. I've seen the sweaters a lot. They have been really popular, and I've seen some of them hanging on hangers as well. And you could just see how much space there is between the yarn, and the sweater really doesn't keep its shape. Now, if you're buying the sweater to wear it only once or twice, sure thing, it really doesn't matter. But if you're looking for a designer piece of clothing to last you for a very long time, I would say that the weight and the weave of this particular yarn in this Loewe sweater is not really something that could be justified by the price of a sweater like this. So once again, question number one, it is fabric composition of the item. By the way, my name is Lisa and I'm your guide to savvy luxury shopping no matter where in the world you are. Subscribe to my channel to learn more about strategic luxury shopping with emphasis on quality and timelessness of your items. Question number two to ask yourself is, how is this item constructed? And when I think about the construction of the item, I would pay attention to three key elements. So the first element would be the stitching. So just looking at the stitching and see, is it straight? Is it done well? Is it done kind of nicely? Paying attention to detail. I would also actually look on the inside of the garment to just see how well the garment is presented on the inside. From my opinion, when I buy a piece of luxury ready to wear, on the inside, the garment should look as nice as it does on the outside. You could also pull on the stitching a little bit, and this would show you if the garment is going to fall apart or is it going to hold up nicely, even if this skirt or jacket find themselves in a tornado or a hurricane. I would also pay attention to stitching on kind of less obvious parts of the garment. For example, look at the buttonhole, right? And look at how well stitching is done here. The stitches should be straight and perpendicular to the actual buttonhole itself. This would show you if the garment was actually done well and if there was attention paid to detail. The second aspect I would look at would be the hardware. So as a rule of thumb, you would stay away from anything that is plastic because it's not likely to last for such a long time, and it also kind of cheapens the look of the garment. And by the hardware, I mean things like buttons, zips, and zip pulls. Another element to consider here is actually, how intricately are the buttons constructed. So just look at them and see whether they look like there has been attention that was paid to the creation of the buttons. Do they actually make the garment look better, or do they kind of, cheapen the look of the garment? And the last element under this kind of construction umbrella would be the cut of the garment. Here, I would look for a special kind of additional element that would basically, let's say, help justify the price of a particular garment. So for example, if we are talking about jackets, skirts, and trousers, I would actually expect them to be lined or partially lined, even if these are summer items. Why? Well, because it shows that additional care was paid in kind of, constructing the item. Also, because anything that actually has lining is likely to last you for a longer period of time. The garment is likely to preserve its shape for a longer period of time. And when you're wearing it, your body is not going to be rubbing against the cloth or the fabric of the garment itself, but instead, against the lining, which would also just, preserve this skirt or this jacket or this pair of trousers. And another element that I would think about, when I talk about the cut of the item, is just once again looking for something special, even in a simple garment. For example, here I have this kind of stretchy cotton simple t-shirt from Maison Margiela. But even though it is kind of a stretchy jersey t-shirt, it actually has an additional construction element. There is, let me kind of show you if you can see, there is a zipper on the side right here. And to me, this additional element in the cut of the garment actually makes the garment a little bit more expensive. Because now, instead of just relying on this garment to sit well on my body because it is stretchy, I can actually use this zip, right? Or this zip is being used to give this garment an additional shape, which means that it sits on my body better because of the cut, because of its construction, not just because it is a stretchy fabric. So once again, when I look at the designer ready to wear, is this type of elements that I consider, to ensure that the money I spend is actually, let's say, somewhat worthwhile. So question number 2 is, what is the construction of the garment? How is the garment constructed? Question number 3 to ask yourself is, am I being influenced to buy this item? Now, even 5 or 7 years ago, I would actually not ask myself this question. But nowadays, with social media, with the rise of influencers, with advertisement, we are bombarded by images all the time. And we constantly see people wearing something, styling something, and it becomes very difficult to distinguish. Do we actually like these items because we genuinely like them? Or are we being influenced to like these items? We've just seen them so many times on so many people, on so many different models. So we start thinking, oh my God, I should get this dress as well. And when I try to think whether I'm being influenced to buy something, I consider 3 aspects here. So, aspect number 1, I try to think, would this garment actually fit my personal style? And you might not necessarily be sure about your personal style, which is fine because all of us change and our personal style also changes. But for the most part, when I look at the garment, I can tell, is it going to fit into my wardrobe? Is it going to fit within the color scheme that I have? Or am I going to have to buy a completely different wardrobe to be able to actually incorporate this item into my daily wear? Aspect number 2 I would consider is, do I actually need this item, or am I going to use this item in my daily activities? Once again, things that I see on social media are people going out all the time, going out to nice fancy dinners, wearing evening gowns and dresses. But this is just not the way that my life looks like, right? So I might like a very nice dress and it might actually fit my overall personal style, but how many dresses do I actually need? Like, how often do I go out, let's say for a nice dinner, to, maybe wear a kind of a gown dress or a longer dress? So I really try to look at the items and see, are they the type of pieces of clothing that I'm going to be able to wear on a daily basis because they fit the daily activities that I undertake? Or is it something that's going to be hanging in my closet and waiting for this one time per year when I go to this particular restaurant or when I travel to this particular location? And another aspect to consider here when it comes to influencing is whether you actually like the garment itself, or do you like the way somebody presented or somebody styled the garment? I'm going to show you 2 pictures here. So both pictures are kind of this set. It's a shorts or a pair of shorts and a sweatshirt from Dries Van Noten. So I was looking at ready to wear from Dries Van Noten because he's going to be stepping down from his design label, and I wanted to see if I want to buy something before he goes. So when I look at the picture on the left here, I found this on one of the websites, and I just saw this sweatshirts and this pair of shorts, and the way that it was styled, I thought, oh my God, I really need this set. I cannot live without it. You know, this is something that I'm definitely going to wear, and I just loved the look of it. But then I looked at a different online retailer and I saw the same two pieces of clothing, if you look at the picture here, you know, styled in a different way. Or maybe, let's say, not styled at all, right? It's just a sweatshirt and a pair of shorts. And when I looked at this picture, you know, I actually changed my mind about buying this particular garment because in this picture, the shorts and the sweatshirt looked just kind of regular, a bit boring. There was nothing really special about them. But this really reminded me that it is important to separate the garment from the way that the garment is styled. To really ask yourself, do I actually like the garment itself? Or do I like the way somebody styled this garment? So all of this goes under question number 3, which is, am I being influenced to buy this item? Question number 4 is, will I wear this item a decade from now? Yes, I'm not talking about a year or 2 or 5 years from now. I'm talking about a decade from now. By the way, I filmed a different video, I'm gonna link it up here, where I go through some of the oldest luxury items in my collection, and many of them are ready-to-wear items, and some of them I have had for about 16 years or so. So if you're interested, please check out this video next. But back to the question. The question is, or the question you should ask yourself is, will I wear this item a decade from now? And once again, the reason I'm talking about a decade is because these ready-to-wear pieces are just so incredibly expensive. You know, they're sometimes even more expensive than, let's say, a pair of shoes or a handbag. So when I invest that type of money in a piece of ready-to-wear, I actually like to make sure that I'm going to wear it for a very long time. And within this, I would think about 2 different things. The first element is, am I going to get bored of this item? You know, so when you buy something, you know, you might consider, are there different ways that I could actually style this shirt or this sweater or this top? Or is there pretty much only one way I can wear this piece of item, which might mean that you're going to get bored of this piece of item quite quickly? And question number 2, I would also consider is, once again, the style and the cut of the item. Is this something that is, let's say, a bit timeless, something that is actually going to last a decade, something that you would feel good about wearing a decade from now? Or is this style and cut, you know, something that is just a very quick trend that is happening right now, and therefore you're going to stop wearing this item a year or 2 from now? Now, I know this is a very difficult question to consider, but I would still encourage you to really think long term when you buy designer ready to wear, and ask yourself about the longevity of an item that you're considering. All right, question number 5 to consider is, can I create at least 5 different outfits with this item using the items that I already have in my wardrobe? So, I mean, the number 5 is a little bit arbitrary here. Maybe you can think about 3 different outfits or 7 different outfits, but the new item that you're buying basically needs to integrate seamlessly into your existing wardrobe. And another thing I would note here is, oftentimes people would just consider kind of the basic outfit itself, like the shirt and the trousers, or the top and the skirt and the jacket. But I would also say, you know, pay attention to all the accessories like jewelry, scarves, bags, and shoes and etc. So I feel that sometimes people buy a pair of trousers and they think, oh yeah, well, I can wear, these 5 different blouses and tops with this particular pair of trousers. Well, that's great. But do you have the shoes to wear with those outfits? Do you have the handbags to wear with those outfits, or the jewelry, the hats, the scarves, and everything else that you might need to really create an entire outfit? So basically, anything new that you're buying really needs to integrate into your existing wardrobe without you having to buy a fully new wardrobe to actually use this new item. So, question number 5, will I be able to create at least 5 different outfits with this new item using the items that I already have in my wardrobe? And the last question, question number 6, that I think you should ask yourself is there something unique about this item which makes it a standout item? Now, obviously, not every item in your clothing needs to be, or not every item in your wardrobe needs to be a standout item, right? I often talk about buying designer basics for your wardrobe, like the white t-shirt from Maison Margiela that I showed earlier in the video. But if I'm spending a lot of money on a designer item, I actually want this item to have something special, something unique and something different. Once again, something that kind of helps to justify the cost. And, let me actually illustrate one of my shirts and try to explain this. So I have this cotton button-up shirt, sleeveless shirt, once again from Maison Margiela, right? And this particular item kind of functions like a basic in my wardrobe because, I can wear it in the summer with whatever jeans, trousers, a skirt, and it's just like a basic, button-up shirt. But there is one extra little element that I think is very interesting about this particular shirt is that if you look at the kind of sleeve here, you can actually see that the fabric has been rolled into kind of this thicker roll on the sleeve, right? So to me, this is one unique extra element in this item, which just makes it a bit more interesting. All of a sudden, this is just not a simple button-up shirt, but it has this additional unique element which might not be, let's say, visible from far away, but it's something that kind of gives it an additional touch. And once again, something like this to me, helps to justify the price of some of these items when we are shopping for them. So I like to make sure that when I'm spending a lot of money on a designer piece of ready to wear, I actually ask myself, is there something unique? Is there something interesting, something different about this item that kind of justifies the price and that makes it a worthwhile investment? All right, so those are the 6 questions I think you should ask yourself before buying designer ready to wear. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that I missed anything. Are there any additional elements that you consider when you make a choice to purchase designer ready to wear? And if you would like to see one of my previous videos, I'm going to leave right here a video where I talk about 5 of the oldest luxury items that I have in my collection, where I also kind of look at the elements that made these items last for such a long time. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video. Goodbye, and I will see you in the next one.